All right, students. So this week we are going to learn how to find missing angles. So notice that we are um, missing the angle here. We used to have it. Now, like in this problem down here, right? We used to have the angle and just look for the missing side. Well, now we're looking for the angle. So if you know sine, cosine, and tangent ratio of an angle, you can use the inverse of the ratio. So sine inverse, cosine inverse, that little -1 as a like an exponent thing, that is the inverse of each of the functions to find the measure of the angle. So let's try that. So it says, make sure your calculator is in degree mode. We're going to be using, so I usually use my cell phone. So like I have an iPhone. So that's what I'm going to be using. But in case you don't know how to use your calculator, you got to tell me, right? All right. So we are looking for, so remember this. So, same thing, right? So sine, opposite over hypotenuse, cosine, adjacent over hypotenuse, tangent, opposite over adjacent. So same thing we're going to be using the ratios here. So find the value of x and then round it to the nearest tenth. That means just one decimal point. So we're looking for angles now. So what do we have? We have the opposite side and we have the hypotenuse along the side, right? So we have sine of x, because we don't know that angle, equals, well, opposite 15 over 24. Okay, now if I get rid of that sign here algebraically, I'm going to get x equals the inverse of sine, which is sine of negative, to the -1 right here, to the inverse, 15 times 15 over 24. Okay, all right, and how do we put that in the calculator? Well, let me show you. It's my calculator. We're going to find what 15 over 24 is. That's a division, right? So 15 divided by 24 equals, you got a number like that, right? Because that's a ratio, right? And then we're going to press the second function, and that's where sine inverse is going to show up. Press this one, and you get 38.7. That's what you get. That's the actual angle. X equals 38.7. That's an angle. You got to use the degree function, right? All right. Pretty straightforward, right? You're just learning how to use the new function in your calculator, which is sine inverse. All right, let's do this one. So what do we have here? Do we have the opposite side? No, we don't. We have the adjacent side over the hypotenuse. That sounds like it's cosine. So it's cosine of the angle. We don't know. It's adjacent over hypotenuse. Well, that is the same thing as this, right? And we put it in the calculator the same way. Let's do that. Let's find what 8 over 11 is. 8 divided by 11 equals 0.72, and then you press the second function, make sure it's highlighted if you're using an iPhone, and then cosine inverse. You don't press the equal sign. That's where it gets you to. 43, yeah, it smashed my phone. Check it out. 43.3. That was yesterday. 43.3 degrees. Okay. All right. Let's do another one. So we know this one is tangent. And how do I know so fast? There's nothing on the hypotenuse. That tells me that it's definitely tangent. So tangent of x equals opposite over adjacent, right? Opposite over adjacent. So that is opposite 20 over adjacent 37. Well, let's put this in the calculator. X tangent inverse 20 over 37. Let's do that. So 20 divided by 37, that is that number. And then make sure the second is pressed, and then tangent inverse 28.4. That's x equals 28.4 degrees. Okay, that little symbol for degrees. All right, let's do another one. So we don't have anything on the opposite side. That's definitely a cosine. So I'm just going to find it. So I'm just going to write it just this version. X cosine of inverse, and that is adjacent over hypotenuse. Make sure you know which one goes on top, which one goes on the bottom. That's the ratio. And then you find it. So that's 18 divided by 23 equals, make sure that it's highlighted the second, and then tan. Oh, what was it? Cosine, sorry. Let's do it again. 18 divided by 23, and then equals, and then press second, and then cosine. 38.5, 38.5. That's x equals 38.5 degrees. Okay. All right, so tomorrow. That is the opposite over hypotenuse. That is sine. So that is sine inverse, and then that's x equals, and then opposite over hypotenuse, that's 40 over 41. And then you put that in the calculator. That is 40 divided by 41 equals, and then press second, and then we're using sine. 77.3. 77.3. So that's x equals 77.3 degrees. All right. All right. One more. This one. I know I'm using tangent here because there's nothing on the hypotenuse. So that's opposite over adjacent. So that is tangent. X equals that. And then my ratio is 7 over 5. 7 over 5. So let's do that. 7 divided by 5 equals 1.4. 7 divided by 5 equals 1.4, press second, and then tangent 54.5. X equals 54.5 degrees. And you are done. I hope this helps.